I haven't posted in a while because I've been stressed with school, so I made an apology, as in the apology is a poorly recorded tutorial. I'm going to show you guys how I draw dragons. Specifically the Wings of Fire Dragons variety, which is very similar to my original dragon idea designs when I thought it would be like a copyright, but turns out they're chill with people drawing. Yeah, I'm not holding any claim to the Wings of Fire series. I didn't create it, but I love drawing the dragons from the series. So I'm going to teach you how I draw dragons. I think I'll start with the basic skywing. Not very good on dragon facial structures and scale patterns, but I try to keep it basic. So I start with the circular ruler, and I just draw a circle. Then I, of course, move a smaller circle forward with the circular ruler. It's a little bit too far. Move it just a little bit further back, slightly down, and I do that. Okay, and I draw a straight line from the top of the smaller circle to just above the middle of the larger circle. So it cuts them clean in half, roughly. And I usually do a little corner, rounded corner to the top of the snout. As you can see, it's kind of forming that snout already. And I'll start with a small curve up and a little in towards the circle. And then I usually try to, I'll make that a little bit higher. There we go, that looks nice. Sorry if I sound exhausted, I'm not used to constantly talking. And I pretty much have to constantly talk for this tutorial. So next, as you can see there, I did the little area for the horn to protrude out from. I always imagined there's like, even from before I saw pictures, I imagined that most animals with horns, like even dragons, before I saw the pictures in the books, would have just a little bit of skin around the bottom of the base of the horn, like most goats do. And I usually draw the horn to, like that, sort of. There we go. I like to add a slight upward curve after a downward curve. I think it looks pretty nice like that. I think we're going to be drawing a skywing here. I'll decide the dragon tribe after I get the basic sketch down. And usually, for my guideline for the eyes, it's be in between these lines here that I just made. So it needs to be in front of this line, above this line, and below this line, which you can see I'm using as little guidelines with the horns to keep the right proportional ratio here. It might be a little bit far back. It's a little, I'll do with my original one. Usually, to draw eyes, I do a slanted line in front, a horizontal line in the back, then a smaller horizontal line on the bottom, and then a little diagonal line connecting it. Kind of looks like a parallelogram. Then I, smooth it out so it works better. Looks like this one is a little small. But we'll see how it looks once I do the line art. If I don't like it, I'll redo it. Yeah, I'll just make a small edit to it now, like that. The next, I usually, like to do a little bottom there. For instance, now, no, actually, sorry. I'm trying to remember how I did this, because I haven't been drawing in a while. Been so stressed with school that I forgot that I could draw to calm down. Then I make a little beak, as it shows in the books. Because a lot of reptiles also have beaks in real life as well, like turtles. Birds are actually reptiles, if you didn't know that. It's a little fun fact I like to memorize. I memorize occasional fun facts. But yeah, birds are theropod dinosaurs, and theropod dinosaurs are reptiles, therefore birds are also reptiles. And that's why you'll see birds in reptile sections. Well, in some places. They also have a similar lung to reptiles. I just added the nasal horn, as you can see. Basically, I think I'll just keep making conversation, a one-sided conversation here, and just keep drawing while you guys look. Maybe talk about what I'm doing occasionally. Then I like to do an inward curve from the back of the horn, the back of the base of the horn, and just out just a little. It's like I made that a little small. There we go. It's long, that's how I like it. I'm debating with myself whether I should make the mouth open or closed. I think I'll do a closed mouth. There we go. I sometimes, in case I want to change my mind, I do a little guide for the bottom part of the beak, but I'm not going to do that this time, I don't think. I don't want to leave the mouth open. Let me think what Dragon Trad this looks like. Kind of looks like a Rainwing Skywing hybrid so far. I think there's a little thing I can change right there. Yeah, that looks nice. Think I'll make this a skywing. Then I'll name it. Just a random skywing. Okay, we got the basic head sketch done. Then usually I just make a random curve. I like to go back far and then like that, but that's more of a hook shape and it's fairly long, but I think it might work, like for an adult dragon. Haven't really done this in a while because, like I said, I've been stressed with school. I'll start with a circle around where I want the chest. That should help guide, like, when I start and stop this neck line thing. And I just gotta thicken it in this section. Thin it out towards the end here. That should work. It does look a little bit hook-like. Eraser's too big. There we go. It's not the best, but it's good. Could be better, and I think I know what I can do to make it look a little better. This is good for digital drawing. For traditional drawing, this would have to have been erased and redrawn a lot of times. I might do a traditional drawing tutorial video once I manage to, I don't know how to describe this, like get something to hold my phone up on, and like a desk for a piece of paper, so I can, like, you know, record myself drawing it without having to hold my phone in one hand, which would make drawing a lot more difficult. Okay, so there's the head and neck. I'm thinking that's all I'm gonna do for this tutorial because it's already getting fairly long. Probably because of my constant rambling. Reminds me, I've someone in my class who goes by the name Ramble. I don't know if that's a reference to anything. Please tell me if it is a reference to anything. If he just calls himself Ramble. It's not his real name. I don't know his real name. nor would I share it on social media without his consent. I don't share my real name. I share a version of my preferred name. My preferred name's Franny, so I go by Franny McFran for my YouTube channel. Anyway, I just added the spikes for the sketch. Then I usually do a little guideline, like the edge of that spike right there, the very base of that spike. Usually just follow there to get a decent underbelly. Then I follow right close to the back to get the slight tougher scales on the top. It's like I could make the horns a little different, so I'm gonna try and fix that. Not necessarily something that needs to be fixed, but I want to change them a little, so I'm gonna change them. Again, feel free to do whatever you want. But this is basically how I draw dragons. You could probably use this as a guide if you don't already know how. I'm pretty sure most of my viewers already draw dragons a lot. So I'm trying to basically copy down the scale pattern I've seen on several of the books. Just for the top tougher scales, that way I can get them better. Then I usually add another layer on top and reduce it to roughly 42%. As you can see, I got that in one click somehow. And I'm just gonna do the line art, which I think I'll make a separate, not a separate video, but I'll record it separately and I'll add it to the I'll add it to the first video, this one, in the same video, so I'll just speed up my line art. I might slow it down at any point where I might need to. You know what, I'll just keep you guys around. I don't see why not. As you can see, this wasn't very well planned. This plan was half-baked. Very, very much half-baked. Like, this thing, it's practically just warm dough. It is not a cake yet. Honestly, I don't understand why I use metaphors so much when I talk. I mean, you're just hearing me talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And maybe this is just how I like to do things, because I don't socialize a lot, so when I do socialize, I'll just keep talking and talking. And there's almost no way to get me to stop. Okay. So there's the top. Beak roughly there. And I usually add the nostrils like right behind the front of the beak. And then I'll trace the rest of the mouth. Not gonna make it too big. That should work. Next, I'm gonna do the eye. Gonna add a little bit more detail to this eye by adding the third eyelid in the front corner and maybe the edge of it towards the end. You know what? I'll give this dragon eyelashes. No one's ever going to protest to eyelashes on a dragon. I mean, it's even in like the Shrek movie, isn't it? Okay, now for the iris and pupil, I like to make it wide, and I don't like doing the narrow slits for the eyes, so I'll just do that, like, super wide, and I like using the bucket tool. Oh, forgot. Gotta do that first, and then make that visible again. Okay, good, I'm still on the top layer. There we go. Okay. That looks nice. I'm gonna clean this up just a little. I did forget to add the ear in the bottom sketch, so I'm gonna do that. in a way that fits in with what I've already done with the line art so it doesn't overlap. There we go. And I'm just gonna trace that like that, and that's basically how I draw dragon ears. Then I add that little spike on the edge of the jaw, which I always thought looked pretty cool. Yeah. You know, dragons are typically flying reptilians, and speaking of flying reptilians, not sure why I just wanted to randomly bring this up. My second favorite dinosaur, the Pteranodon, is also a flying reptilian. My favorite's the Troodon. And because those are prehistoric extinct creatures, I might as well share my favorite prehistoric extinct creature. You can search this up. It's the Anomalocaris. It means strange shrimp. And just because people thought it was a shrimp at first. They also thought it was two different animals. But, it looks like a shrimp, that's why they named it that. But they thought it was two different animals at first. So, it took them a while to discover it was actually just one animal. That looks a little off. I'm going to fix it. I can be a little bit judgmental of my own dragons sometimes. Especially when they're wearing eyeshadow. Even though this isn't necessarily eyeshadow, it looks like eyeshadow sometimes. I don't know what to call it. It's like the skin around the eye, not necessarily the eyelids. It's starting to look like the facial expression Kinkachu would make. Whatever. Need to keep going. And looks like I do have another spike on the neck that I had drawn back there, so I'm going to add that detail. I swear I'm going to lose my voice after this. And I'm going to need to drink a ton of water. You know what? I'll take a water break later. Okay, as you can see, I'm very eagerly and quickly drawing the spikes. This is typically how I draw the spikes on my dragons. Well, they're not my dragons, like I didn't create these dragons, but I draw them. And it's usually a non-existent character that's never mentioned in the series. Nor do they have a name. So I don't know what this falls into. All I know is I'm trying not to do copyright stuff. There have been times where there have been like videos I took in music from, and they were like, this is copyright, and then my video gets canceled and starts making weird static in the background, because for some reason it gives me the option to remix the sound, but it's not letting me remix the sound and actually keep it on my channel. It's kind of strange. Well, anyway, I'm working on the underbelly right now, as you can see. Pretty boring work, but I like repetitive things, so it's not too boring for me. Then we also have the scales that go like right here. So I like to do one in between each spike and one with a spike on it, which can sometimes be difficult when it comes to the proximity of some of the spikes. But I sometimes make it work, and other times I do a different scale pattern completely. Like here. As you can see, I kind of messed up my pattern, but it's not very visible from afar. And I think I'm done with the sketch layer. Now, my technique for filling in the colors. Usually, I use the bucket and a bunch of white. The background now, I want to color like some of the standard scales right now. So I'm going to fill in everything that won't be the same uniform color as that. And then I'll use the eraser bucket on them after. If you understand my logic, because I'm going to do the color on the layer below it. So I'm doing this now. That way I don't have to worry nearly as much. Yeah, sorry about my silence there. I am trying not to hit the black lines, otherwise this happens, and nobody wants that. It is a nightmare when that happens. Okay. Now I'm gonna do a basic outline for some of the scales here. I usually actually do the head scales a different color. Of course, right now you can tell I'm trying to impress you guys, so I'm going into more detail than I usually would. I just caught myself doing that. Sometimes I even do that on tests and essays. Like, I don't do my homework, yet I get good test scores. And my teachers don't like that I don't do my homework. Because the test is what matters to me, and you guys are what matter to me. So I'm doing more on this than I usually would on some of my practice drawings that I occasionally post. Not sure what I want to do, like, when I grow up with this talent, but I do really want to be like a paleontologist, which does involve drawing anatomically, guesses of what an animal would look anatomically accurately like if it were still alive today based on its fossils, which can be difficult. A lot of them end up with skin wrapping, or shrink wrapping as they call it, where it's just the skin around the bones. And in reality, the T-Rex was probably fat. Not as skinny as it is portrayed. I like to say the T-Rex is probably fat. It's just a funny concept. A fat T-Rex. Makes me laugh. Okay, almost done with these scales here. Okay, there we go. Now I'll go just under that. I think I'll do this deep red color. Ooh, okay, the thing that's on top of it. Okay, just under it. Deep red. Then some lightish red I have in here. Gonna just lower the opacity of that. I think I'll do it like on the very edge of each scale here. Just to add a little bit more shiny detail to these scales. If you've ever seen snake skin, it's shiny. Sorry about that. I have some annoying allergies, and it's coming around allergy season, where all the pollen and dust in the air makes me have cold symptoms. I bet a lot of you can relate to that. If you're wondering what that little glowy dot is whenever I touch the screen, that's just showing you where I touch the screen. I don't know why it's there, but I cannot disable it for some reason. It's a little annoying watching it on the screen because I can see it too while I'm doing the screen recording. Now I'm gonna blur. That's too blurry. I'm gonna blur all these highlights. I just tap it a lot of times with the blur tool, because that's usually how I get it more precise to how I want it blurred. And then I'm going to blur this top layer too. No. That's working. And I just merge all the layers, add another layer, put it underneath, and erase the next part that I want to color in, which will be this part right here. So I usually do less scales on the face, and that's what I'm going to be doing this time. So I'm just gonna fill that in almost completely and add a little bit of shading and highlights. Yeah, I think I should do a little bit of shading under the beak and around the mouth. Okay, that is looking decent. Now, simple little highlights. Just gonna add it in there for a little. And maybe she has a few, like, little lighter spots on her face. Because I never imagined dragon colors, like, to be completely matte one color. I always kind of imagined them to, like, have little splotches of different similar colors added in. Because, you know, well, I accidentally flipped it around. Whatever. Okay. Fixed that issue. And then I repeat for the next few steps. I'm just gonna keep rambling with you guys and talking. For some reason, I'm just like this. I don't know. So underbelly, I'd say it's also going to be the same color as this area around the eye. Because it seems to be like a similar type of skin. I typically imagine underbellies being a little bit lighter than the rest of the dragon. Keep forgetting to turn the brush opacity up. I could add a little bit more orangish hue to that. Okay, that is looking nice. I think I should deepen it a little more. Okay, I love this color. I love this color. Okay. Standard little highlights that I like to do. Just to lighten up the color in between, like, in between scales, but on the scales. Just a little. Because why can't the dragon be shiny? Why not? Snakes are shiny, dragons can be shiny. Fish scales are pretty, dragon scales can be pretty. Now, just a simple blur. And there we go. And I'm just gonna keep going here. With the scales that I plan to be the same colors. I usually imagine the top scales is like the scales on the top and the head and the back being a lot darker and deeper in color. Yeah, it's got to turn the brush opacity up. I think this one could go just a little bit lighter than what I put on there. That almost matches the rest of the scales. Maybe I should make it slightly more of an orange hue and darken it a bit. You can see sometimes I am bickering about the colors within myself or whatever. However I want to say that, I don't know, I say weird things. Okay, time to get that back down to my usual brush size. Add the little scaly rough detail. I usually imagine the top part being a little bit matte and less shiny. I am going to add these after, just to make it look a little bit more defined. And here, I think I'll do a little black underneath each of the scale things. And everywhere it might need shadow. And then I'm going to blur it again. So you can see, most of my techniques wouldn't really work in real life, but I typically use different techniques when I'm drawing in real life. And again, I haven't been drawing a lot lately. I should probably keep drawing a lot more. But yeah, I take requests, just keep that in mind. I'll draw anything you want, almost anything you want. Just as long as it's somewhat appropriate, and if it's inappropriate, if I don't know what it is, I'll still do it. Like that time I drew someone's profile picture that was a character from apparently an adult furry game. It's kind of weird. And you know what? That wasn't my sister, but it was my sister's friend. So, yeah. That was honestly a little bit of a surprise, but not much of a surprise. I usually imagine the horns being like a really dark version of like the original color. Depending on the type of dragon. Like with the skywing, I usually imagine them being almost black. For them to be like almost just the basic European dragon. You know, like the dragon from the Shrek movie. I don't know why I keep bringing that one up. I haven't even watched that movie in a while. That's what confuses me. Just making the horns all nice and pretty. Imagine dragons had horn polish like we have nail polish. Imagine they painted their talons. That'd be pretty interesting. Okay. Deep red under there. Should work. And we're almost done. Now, usually I imagine skywing eyes being like a variety of colors, like usually in the yellow-orange zone. Although Peril has blue eyes, bluish green. I've heard them described as copper. But I think this one would look nice with like yellowish amber eyes. Maybe a little bit darker though. With a lighter highlight towards the middle, which won't be very visible. But there's a lot of details I like to add that aren't very visible to the naked eye. Like from holding your phone at a reasonable distance, unlike I do. Because mine's like, what? Roughly my hand's length away from my face. I just had to measure with my hand. Okay. Here we go. One's looking nice. Not sure why I just erased the white background. Just to add another white background. But there we go. I guess that's how you draw a skywing. Okay. Off you go.